I read Lead to Win or Learn to Lead to Win shortly after it was released, and it was packed with exciting stories from throughout your career that you used to showcase these really important leadership lessons in great ways. Quite a few of those carried a common thread of trust. And before we jump into some of those old sea stories, as it were, could you share what trust means to you? How would you sort of define it?
Yeah, and it's such a difficult thing to define because it's an emotional connection. And I can give material examples of trust as in flying so close to somebody that I am anticipating their move that if they did something different, we'd hit. Think US Navy Blue Angels and how close they fly, the level of trust. I have been in physical situations where somebody is belaying a rope on a rappelling, kind of a thing, and you have to trust that person, be holding the rope. I have been on a very, very dark night flying and landing aboard an aircraft carrier where I don't exactly know what the aircraft carrier is doing because it's so dark, and that landing signal officer is telling me what to do. And I've also been on the landing signal officer side, as is noted in the book and in one of the stories there, where the pilots are trusting me to do the right thing. And so trust for me really underpins the human connection of leadership. And I always talk about the human connection of leadership, Tom, where you don't lead with your title, you lead with your heart. You connect with everybody with your heart. And it doesn't matter where in the organization chart that you are. If you're the big leader, you're the CEO, or you're a middle manager, or you're somebody who's down here trying to lead up, the best teams are founded by trust. And the trust means there's a shared sense of values and everybody's focused on going this direction together, and they trust each other to the right and to the left of them to do all of those things. And so it is foundational. The other thing that I do that a lot of people have trouble doing is extending trust to somebody. Some leaders will say, you'll have to prove to me that I can trust you. I actually am the opposite of that.
Mm-hmm.
I know through my own research what somebody is capable of or what they're supposed to be capable of. Growing up in a fighter squadron, if somebody had a certain set of qualifications or they were a certain rank, I knew that they were qualified to do certain things. And so I would trust them to be able to go do those things. And I would just extend that trust and say, I am confident that you are competent enough to do these things, and I'm going to trust you with this. When leaders are leading a team and they want to get something done and they want to hand it over to the team, we could talk about delegation and trust and naivete, and we should do that in our podcast today. But as a leader, I found it most effective when I extended trust to the team to get something done, particularly when it was important. And they knew it was important to me. That really underpins delegation. It really underpins empowerment. People feel valued because the boss trusted them to get something done. And then when they were allowed to follow through and the boss said, that's an awesome result, now they feel really good. And now you can trust them more as a leader. They can trust you more, that you're going to empower them more. Everybody gets comfortable. You start telling each other bad news when it comes up and not just good news. And so that's how trust underpins kind of everything that I believe takes an effective leader leading an effective team.
Thanks for spelling that out for us. I think you hit on something that I actually wrote about in my book, The 4 Stars of Leadership, which is the leader should be the first person to extend trust, that it's on us to initiate, as opposed to, as you say, there are people certainly who are out there who say, I'm not going to trust somebody until they prove themselves. No, if you want to have trust in a relationship, you have to take the first step, because that induces in them, through something called the Pygmalion Effect, which we talked about on a recent episode, induces, in a sense, this way of thinking in people that they think I'm trustworthy. I'm going to live up to that.
You nailed it. And of course, the science of leadership, the thread beneath your podcast is perfect. There's an empowering effect when you know that somebody you respect because she's your boss, thinks you are trustworthy and has trust in you and is willing to trust you. That makes you feel valued. I have found, Tom, in leading teams, there are only 2 things an effective leader needs to do. 2 things. 1, make sure every person that you work with feels valued. They feel valued for who they are, where they came from, what their outlook is, what their opinion is, the fact they came to work today, all those kind of things. And they are part of something bigger than themselves. And when somebody feels valued, they will go forever with you. That old cliche, I follow that person through fire. Why? You can't really put your hand on it. But one of those is when you as a leader extends that trust and you make them feel like they are a trustworthy person. That Pygmalion Effect, they give it back and they feel like they are a valued member of the team. And I totally agree with you. The boss models extending trust because you need to, all those people with different backgrounds and maybe they're a little more shy. They don't extend trust. They're afraid of failure. You have to model that so that they'll extend trust so your whole team will perform at a higher level.